What's up, everybody? It's your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. I'm just getting back from the Mexico. Okay, we've been out there relaxing in the sun and enjoying life, but I had to come and bring you a great show from two amazingly talented people. We have Dr. Dix out of South Carolina, and we have Miss Tameika, Women in Links. You can see
Linux.
her. Oh, Linux. I apologize. Essentially, you can see both their handles there, the calendar for Mr. Dr. Dix, and also Tameika. We offer a lot of her links for you guys to tap in and get this education and training. If you don't know who I am, my name is Erica Williams, author of Classy Climb blog, author of the book Smart for a Millionaire, How to Invest in People, Businesses, and Real Estate from the Palm of Your Hand. Part of the beauty of it is while I was in Mexico, several other YouTubers were like, hey, we're also in Mexico. And I'm like, but where? Oh, we're in Playa del Carmen. We're in Tulum. We're over here with this internet and we're working from our computers. And so I just thought about this. I'm like, that is the power of technology, that you can work from anywhere. As long as you can do the job, you can be in Mexico enjoying margaritas. So if you would introduce yourselves, I'm going to start with you, Miss Tameika. Could you introduce yourself to the audience?
Yep, founder of Women in Linux. Been in the industry now, doing Linux administration, automation, directors, consultant now for 20 years. We had a lot of people come over from your group. Thank you, Erica, for having them come over from the group as well to talk about pretty much everything. So anything people want to talk about, we're ready.
All right. And Dr. Dix, introduce yourself to the audience, please.
My name is Dr. Patrick Dix. I'm from South Carolina, still reside in South Carolina. I have over 25 years of technology experience. I've been a programmer, simulation designer, database administrator. Currently, I have a full-time job, but I've been an adjunct professor for 7 years. I've taught over 13,000 students, teaching at various schools, and I'm ready to share the wealth of knowledge with the YouTube community.
All righty. So listen, you guys, not to start off on a downer, but we just saw this terrible news of a man, essentially killing multiple people over $1,400. And I was telling people in the chat, this is why I go so hard on YouTube, because I think it's a lack of exposure. I think it's a lack of hope. I think it's a lack of forward thinking. There's a video I think is posted in the community tab talking about that this crisis has been the hardest on Black women as far as eviction and homes. And as I watched the video, the first thing in my mind, these people was like, hey, go join Women in Linux. Go join any of these groups. Go get, some skills. And unfortunately, Dr. Dix, we've talked about this. What was the number you gave again that you think automation is going to take out of the workforce?
Over 60 to 70% of task-oriented positions, and it is coming very fast. If you look at statistics now, when you hear the political people talk about bringing back manufacturing is coming back. I saw you mention this in one of your pre-recorded videos. It's coming back, but it doesn't include humans. Mm-hmm. And the consensus is if anytime or anywhere a company or people can eliminate the human out of the process, they want to save money. So if they can shave 2 seconds off of creating something and it saves them $1 million in a year, they will do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, Tameika, why I love bringing you on is that it's possible in the 40s and 50s, even though people are like, oh man, there's ageism, there's discrimination, to come into tech and do well.
Yep.
And break that down for us. Share it with us.
So part of coming into tech and doing well is, one, a lot of things in terms of like being in a data center or being on-prem or what have you, the case has really shifted. So the need for, and we see a big, it actually saw a big shift in from dev ops to DevSecOps, where we're starting to break down these silos. So now we got a combination of skills, right? So you might have started out in security and now you're going to learn about the operation side, or you're going to learn how to maintain and keep a actual application up. So it's just so many different skill sets that are needed. Even people who are in finance. I even talked about this on I talked about this on our tech stocks and jobs, where I don't know if anybody saw this with Michael Jordan and Mark Cuban. They have a SPAC and they're going public, but they're looking for people to analyze crypto. So they're looking for crypto analysis. They're looking for people to come in and understand finance and waging that data in the cloud. So it's just a slew of skills that you can have, that you already have, and make a shift into tech using those skills as well too.
And I want to say this, you guys, when you think of Mark Zuckerberg, who is really the COO, or I forgot her exact title? It's Sheryl Sandberg. It's a group of people 50, 60, 70 years old. Because you're thinking the face of Facebook is this young guy. Look at this young guy. No. The board, the offices, what we call the wall that holds up the wall in a business, are all people in their 50s and 60s, because you need experienced adults who've been in corporate America for years to come and give advice and come and lead people, younger people, just no knock, who may have problems with communication skills in this way forward. So there's going to be an opportunity in the door for people to come into the door, right?
No doubt.
And I see there's a ton of comments, and I'm going to get you guys your questions. Someone said, thank you. I'll post it here. Thank you for speaking about age. I'm 51 and been in telecommunications for 20 years. I'm ready to pivot to IT. Down to earth. I strongly suggest you reach out. Ms. Tameika and her group. This one right here. But if you guys will answer that, can you see it?
I'm looking at IBM security certification course on Coursera. Is it a good certification to get into this field? It's a good certification if you want to get into cybersecurity, but the question I will always ask people is, what is it that you want to do inside of tech? And then if you break that down even further inside of cybersecurity, I'll have to look up the actual certification to say, hey, yeah, nay, go down this route. But again, I always lean back towards, what is it that you want to do when you're looking at these certifications? Don't get a certification just because it's there.
Dr. Dix, are you IBM cybersecurity certification course? Would that lock them into IBM, or would it? I mean, Tameika, do you know that either? Would that lock them into being stuck at IBM, or would that be flexible to go somewhere else?
So when I hear IBM certification, cybersecurity certification, I'm thinking they're talking about IBM Cloud, and they're probably talking about IBM, how to secure their particular cloud. Again, cybersecurity in cloud is vast. You have AWS, you have Google Cloud, and so forth. So to me, I'm not saying steer clear of IBM cybersecurity certification. I'm saying be agnostic to having a cloud security certification. So something like SANS.org gives you that leverage in all three, to be able to look at, hey, here is cybersecurity here. Or you can look at CompTIA has their cybersecurity for the cloud. I try to steer people to be agnostic, because you never know what you're going to face when you're in an interview. You may face somebody that's doing IBM today, but they're migrating from IBM to AWS. So just be mindful of that when you're looking at certifications. Does it lock you in? It's okay to be locked in. If you're going to do everything all the way AWS, that's all you care about, you love AWS, then hey, roll with that. But if you want to be agnostic and be able to move around, try to look at something that covers a multitude of things.
And
that's my take.
And one other thing pertaining to IBM, when I was going to school at Robert Morris, in the last year or two, IBM was coming to Robert Morris University, specifically picking out people to do mainframe programming. And they were starting some of these people with $70,000 to $75,000, because the professors that taught us actually did computer science classes. So in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, IBM is still looking for people to program mainframes. So if someone wants to go into mainframe programming, I've never dealt with it, but they always was talking to us about it, saying IBM is coming specifically to Pittsburgh to say, hey, if you can get us some people or some students that can program, we will pay them $70,000. And they hired a couple of students. I don't know if that is still going on, but when I left last year, but I know during the times I was up there, they were continuously asking about this.
Yeah, they had a partnership at one point in time with, I think, was it North Carolina A&T, IBM and North Carolina A&T, where they were doing the mainframe. Hey, we're coming into the school, showing you mainframe, and then rolling them into that. But again, mainframe still exists. But I looked over the course. It looks like it's very general. You could get it, but I still personally I would go with sense.org because it's actually a little bit more recognized. And I think that, and I just reviewed the class. It's a little bit more in depth than what this is.
And one thing that a lot of people have to realize, you can have all the certifications, but once you get a certification, you need to have a degree too. You have to have a degree to compete in the world because most companies now want a degree. Remember, the United States is not the only place in the world that prints money. Other countries might want your resources and might want your talent, but if you don't have the 4-year degree to back it up, it's kind of hard. And in this day and time, there's really no excuse not to get a degree. You can, once you get the certifications, you need to get a degree. It's plain and simple.
So I'm a little on the other side of that. I'm also a fan of you going to get your associates first, and then getting a certification paired up with that, and then going into a job and letting somebody finish off paying your 4-year degree or paying for your actual grad school. So it's either or. So a lot of times, especially when we're talking about people who are trying to start out and can't afford to go the whole 4-year. I get it. It's some programs out there. Try to pivot into something where it's a 2-year degree, but the 2-year degree, there are a lot of technical training in that 2-year degree. So do the 2-year degree with the technical training, and then pivot into a job, and doesn't necessarily have to be help desk, but just something that still utilizes those tech skills that you have. And I'm not gonna tell you do a security plus. I'm not gonna tell you that. I'm gonna tell you do a little bit more than that.
Well, and I see Anthony Johnson with a comment. You have to have a long-term vision in life. You always got to think 15 years. People making big money, no degree. That's big for right now. But you have to remember, if you're 25 years old, the same problems you have at 25 might not exist at 35. You might have a family while you're young and while you have the energy. Even if you don't need a degree at the moment, get everything you can while you are young and you have the opportunity, because the misconception is, oh, I don't need it right now. As long as you have it in your back pocket, go ahead and get it out of the way, because what's going to happen, you're going to get down the road and there's going to be this big job, and they're going to say, oh, you have all the experience, you don't have the degree. Well, you're going to think back and say, somebody said I didn't need a degree. You need a degree. You got to have 10 or 15 year vision in your life. You can't think about right now, just like with cybersecurity and everything else. You got to think what's going to be popping in the next 10 to 15 years, because what usually happens, people get into that mindset. You got to think. I was watching The Food That Built America. I don't know if anybody watches the History Channel.
I think I saw that documentary,
Yeah, how these guys are innovators and having the vision. If you look at the Coca-Cola logo, or any logo of any company over the years, even Nike, it is innovating, it is evolving. You have to innovate and evolve every day of your life to stay profitable. That's the main goal of a company. You have to learn how to innovate, because you need to be where you can pivot, as women in Linux, as Tameika was saying. Pivoting in life is crucial. And Domino's and Pizza Hut, the companies I was watching on those the documentary, they were able to pivot because Domino's was saying, hey, we don't need to sell sub sandwiches. They made on-the-spot decisions to say, we're only going to sell pizzas. That is it. And if you guys get an opportunity, watch documentaries like that, because it basically shows you how innovating and thinking ahead will also save your life and also put you in a position to make more money. That's just my 2 cents on that.
Yeah. And the other thing I would add to that is if you're in tech, you should always be looking ahead of what's coming down the pipe. So all these different SPACs that we see coming out.
Yeah.
All right. So what I've been doing now is bridging the gap between the specs and the technology behind those specs. The reason being is because those companies are the ones that are going to be your future $1 trillion company. So if you can learn what their technology or what their actual stack is now, you get in on the floor now, you can now be, ahead of the game where you're like, okay, in the future there could possibly be a pivot, but right now my skills work. But you're pivoting with the company versus trying to figure out how to get in the company, and then whether you have the skills, get in now before they get big. And there was a report that came out of TechCrunch, and that report out of TechCrunch stated that most of the big companies, especially these SPACs, they don't have the 2,000 workers, the 3,000 workers. They're going public with 50 workers, 100 workers, 200 workers, and then they're worth billions after that. So now you have to look at, okay, well, if I can get in on the ground floor and be a part of the change and influence the change and get my skill sets up that way, that's just different opportunities that lend you towards that space.
So I just want to always be clear on the channel. You guys know my life. It is a pivot, adjusting, learning.
Right.
And the video I just put out for you guys, I love both you guys' perspectives and viewpoints. I am big on 1, 2, 3. If I have just enough to get my foot in the door, don't get in there and get lazy. And this is an American concept. And this is where I agree with Dr. Dix on continuing your education. Because if you're at a company, you got just enough to get in the door, and somebody brings you in for an evaluation. Hey, I'm still taking some couple night classes. I'm taking a course or two at the night school to finish this degree, right? And then you get that level of conversation about, can y'all finish this? Can y'all pay for this? I think you're going to enter a future, maybe in the next 2 or 3 years, where you're going to always be training. Like the guy or girl who has a job that's over 75,000, you're gonna look up every 4 weeks. Hey, we got a training this month. Hey, we got to train. And you're gonna be like, man, this is a lot of training. But once you have it and you have the experience, you have the knowledge. Now you can go do whatever. So somebody talk crazy to you, okay, we gone. Somebody racist at work, okay, we gone.
I don't know a time where I haven't been continuously training. Like I don't even understand the concept of not continuously training. I tell people all the time, if you're sitting at a job and you don't like it, don't leave just yet. Use the resources they have for free training, figure out what you want to learn, and then dip. It's free. Utilize the free tools that you have there in order to get ahead, instead of waiting on instead of trying to get outside of that and then trying to figure out whether or not, oh, I want to do this, or I gotta pay for this, or I gotta go look for a scholarship for this. Use the tools there: Skillsport, Pluralsight, Linux Academy, Cloud Academy, even Wiz Labs. Use them. They're there. Most companies have that, so utilize that. Most companies have a partnership with colleges. Utilize that partnership that they have with colleges, so you can get in and go to college. Some of them even offer it for free.
Yeah, and to build off of that, a lot of people get jobs. You know how many people get jobs and never read the HR manual. The HR manual usually tells you, or this is a question you ask in your interview: how do you guys help pay for education? Is there any kind of education benefits? Many people never read the HR manual. The job that I work at, when I was going to do the stuff at Robert Morris, I read to make sure I had the latest version. It specifically said you can work on your schoolwork at work as long as it doesn't interfere. So I used all of their resources to print my stuff. If it's proprietary to them, it could be, but I researched to make sure it wasn't. But I use that to my advantage to say, hey, you have it in your manual. This is the latest version, because how people get messed up. Oh, that's the version for 2019. Make sure you see the latest version or something of the HR manual, education reimbursement, training, anything. Do you know on a job you can get promoted by just standing up saying, hey, I'll take the task. I do it all the time. It's called job security. You got to remember, in the job, they're going to work you. You need to get the most that you can out of them. But you cannot be lazy in this world. Everything is changing every day. Everything is innovating. Stay focused on something, because at the end of the day, 10 years is not a long time. Before you know it, it'll be the year 2030. And these same talks that Tameika, myself, and Erica are having, if YouTube is still around by then, or the repository is not here, these same topics will still be evolving. And you always just have to think about, what can I do to stay profitable? As I was saying earlier, what can I do to stay moving forward? Because it's going to come a day, and it's coming soon. A bachelor's degree is a high school diploma. It's slowly coming. And a lot of people are not prepared for that. You find people that go get degrees, and you'll ask them, why did I get the degree? I thought at that time that was profitable. You got to think, when you go do any kind of cert or any kind of education, before you sign the dotted line, what am I going to do with it? And halfway through, or once you start, you need to start looking at job opportunities to say, am I still in the right field? Do I need to pivot? Because you could be going to school for something else, and something else is on the verge of emerging. So always just stay moving forward. Like we're saying, continuously train. Just never get at a job and just say this job is going to be here. Just always keep learning, always put yourself in the best position. And one of the things that a lot of people don't realize that pays a lot of money, but you have to have a skill set, is teaching and training. I've been doing it for 7 years. Online education is big. If you have a graduate degree and 18 hours in it, it's asynchronous. You don't have to lecture or anything. You can get paid $4,000 to $5,000 for 5 or 6 weeks just to sit there and grade the assignments. That's all you have to do, is watch the coursework. You may have 30 students, but where else can you make $1,000 in 5 weeks? Not $1,000, $5,000 in 5 weeks. That's the other avenue. I'm going to be honest, there's not a lot of adjunct professors that look like myself, Tameika, or Erica. And people don't realize training is the next evolution, because people have to always be taught stuff. So don't ever overlook that. You can go to a community college and teach part-time. You can earn $2,000 to $3,000 a month teaching at a community college. Once the COVID stuff is over, you're able to go back into a classroom 2 nights a week. You get paid $2,000 for a 5-week class. That's your mortgage, that's your savings, that's your debt paid off. It's all kinds of things you can do with it.
Yep. And one of the questions in here was, when researching the RHCSA, people said that it won't be as relevant because of the support of CentOS. Yeah. So the answer to that is this. Red Hat themselves was bought by IBM for $34 billion. Red Hat, inside the market of, when we're talking about distributed systems and Kubernetes, owns 44% of the market. And they're selling their operating system, and they're selling their services. So that's just one way to look at it when you're talking about if something is going to end. Support and training goes very far when you're talking about anything inside of tech. So being able to learn something and teach it is super huge. It's super valuable.
So something I want to bring up, and I know people watch this video and like, Erica, the reason I bring on these guests on these panels is I want y'all to understand that Dr. Dix is a school of thought, and Tameika is a school of thought. Like, we have 2 thought leaders on here, and what you have is, I have somebody right now. I'm gonna tell you right now. When I did this show last time, someone emailed me like, I don't know, you have to go to school. You have to go to school. So I bring on them both so that the person that's stuck in the old mindset of like, well, I got to go to school first. I can't do any of this till I go to school for 4 years. The economy is not moving at that speed anymore. Mm-hmm. So I bring on them both so that Dr. Dix can remind you, yes, please go continue your education. But Tameika's telling you, what was the 3 things you said last time, Tameika? That you need to
Linux, the RECSA, get your security, just because you can be aware of what security is. So that's Security Plus, and make sure you know any type of cloud, whether it's AWS, GCP, or Azure.
So now she gave you those 3, but guess what I heard in the emails when people messaged me? I don't know, because I don't have the degree. I'm not confident.
Yep.
Well, Erica, I tried to apply for jobs, but the job said you got to have a degree. So that's why I bring on Dr. Dix, because he knows you're not confident. So go ahead and get the degree, or be working on it as you get there. Let them pay you to get the degree. So now you're not at work. No, I don't know. Mm-hmm. I'm nervous to ask for a raise. I'm nervous to apply for new jobs. I bring them on both because I enjoy their conversation, because I know how y'all think. There's so many people here in old mindset. Well, I got to get the degree first. Then I get the job. Then I save up for 5 years, and then I start investing my money. I already told you on this channel, the average person's job is 2 to 3 years here.
Yeah.
The average American job. And all the people I know in tech, hey, you call them on a good day, recruiter. They gone. They gone.
Yep.
You know, my boss was tripping. I'm out.
Yep.
So again, you got Kamoy in Mexico living her best life. You got all my other tech people are really so busy and chilling. I'm trying to show y'all the door to get in here so that you're not online arguing for hours about child support and $700 stimulus checks. And these people are showing you, even later in life, you can go step up and make 100 racks.
Yeah.
A year.
Yeah, I think it was last year, the United States Air Force Academy contacted me and said, we'll pay you $130,000 to move to Colorado to teach IT to the Air Force Academy. Of course, I couldn't take it, but those are the kind of opportunities when you're on Indeed, just apply for jobs. You'll be surprised what you get hit up and asked questions about. People flood my emails all the time because I have a government security clearance. And to the person, Loran Technologies, I've done both. I was a contractor, and when I was a contractor for the government,
read the question. Sorry. It says Loran Technology says, can y'all provide your takes on contract versus permanent opportunities? Yeah, some people only listen to us audio wise, so I want them to be able to know.
Yeah.
What we're talking about.
Contract. I've been on the contract side, and I was about 28 years old. I didn't have the kind of responsibilities I have now. So during that time, the sequestering stuff was going on with the government in about 2012 or 13, and that was a very nerve-wracking time. A contracting opportunity, to me, it really depends on how much you're getting paid, or are you saving the money, and what's your next move. Permanent opportunity. If the permanent opportunity is $20,000 less versus the contract, I'll have to do the permanent, because a contract, there is no guarantee. Depending on which state you live in, some states are at will, so they don't even have to give you any kind of declaration. They could just call you and tell you not to come back to work. But it depends on the situation and how much you're getting paid. But you really have to be careful with the contract opportunities, because don't let a company blindside you and say, well, it's a 6-month contract, but we want to extend it. We might extend it out. Always remember, the company's vision is first. You are secondary. They might not extend the contract. So you're sitting here 6 months later. Tameika, Erica, myself said, hey man, you want to come over here for this job that paid $125? Nah, man, this other job paying me $140. And you say, man, it's got more money, but we're telling you it's a permanent position. That's where vision and coming in saying, hey, I better take less money for a permanent job with some benefits. So in 6 months, they let you go. Now you try to reach back out to us and we say, hey, that opportunity you wanted is gone. So you really have to thoroughly think about the situation. Do you have kids? Now, if you don't have any kids or any responsibilities, contract is perfect. But if you got a family,
that all day. Contract.
Yeah, but once you get responsibilities or a house or other things, it's kind of difficult to do a contract job.
Yep. And so I'll give a different take on that. My take on that when it comes down to contract versus permanent is this. Most states are at will, so you could be on a permanent contract or a permanent job, and they decide that they don't want that whole division anymore, and you're gone, right?
Mm-hmm.
The other piece to that when we're talking about contracting is you have to know, one, your worth. Two, you have to know how to put yourself out there to make the most money. Don't ever sell yourself short and say, well, I'm going to do something for $75 an hour. No, sell yourself where you got $150 an hour. Make your money up front. The other piece to that is when you're selling yourself that way, you need to make sure you know what you're selling. You need to know what it is that you're actually going in there to obtain. So it can go two ways. I'm on both sides. So, I'm permanent on one, I'm contracting on the other. But the beauty about it is you have the ability, and you have to know that you have the ability to manage both, and two, you got to understand that at any point in time, these things can go. So always stack your money, always be putting money aside, always be investing, always let your money make money while you're working. If you
Facts.
know that you're getting paid $5,000 over here and that contract coming in is $6,000 and that's paying you $6,000 a month, make that $6,000 work. Invest that $6,000. Put three away, invest three. Make the money work for you. But you can't what you cannot do is you cannot wait until somebody lets you go. You have to be vigilant and you have to do your due diligence and make sure that you are doing what you're supposed to do. Always level up, always attend the meetings, always find out what the company is doing and how they're pivoting. Look at what new technologies they're coming in. Look what they're doing with security. Look who they're hiring. Look at what skill sets they're hiring people for. These things that you have to just be very diligent about and vigilant about. If you don't, then you're going to end up being that person that got let go. You've had these same skills for 5 years. If you got the same skills from 1 year to the next year, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Exactly.
Completely. So this is something I want you guys to understand as we're talking. A lot of people on the internet are like, yeah, start a business, start a business. I'm just being honest with a lot of people because I know there's people who watch this channel for 4 years. And then when I start talking about PPP and I start talking about stuff, oh man, can I go get an EIN tomorrow? So that tells me there's a lot of people who are just sitting on the sidelines and they haven't made a move left or right. So that's why I bring on folks talking about jobs, because I know a lot of you, if you just made more income, and this is, I mean, again, after we just talked about 42% of people make 18 grand or less a year, and then another 75% in total make 30 grand or less a year, to be questioning, hey, should I get this contract for 160K a year and it's only 6 months? Take the freaking contract, you know, pay a little bit of debt, have the experience, and you can pivot after that. And this is something I want you guys to understand. Like, literally, this is a toilet paper startup. Y'all, they are raising money for the craziest. Okay, so I just want you to understand that it's big data out here and big tech. And I just want you guys to understand, like, again, someone said their friend was stuck in tech because they never expanded their skills. That's sad. You should, as a person, should want to. Curtis Davis said big companies are providing training. Okay, there you go.
Yep.
Where's that thing? Somebody said, what are y'all thoughts on LinkedIn learning?
It's good. It's learning. It's just, you're gonna pay for it. It's learning. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you gotta, and this is the other thing I stress often, is you need to learn how you learn. Like, if you're a person that likes visual stuff, go sign up for the trial period on some of these actual platforms and see if you like it. You just might not like it. You know what I mean? It may not appeal to you. It may not catch on to you. So go and find out and start learning how you learn. There's several YouTube videos out there about learning how you learn. That's super important, because once you figure out that you need to be hands-on keyboard, or you need to just hear it, or you need to see it, or you need all three, it's going to change your life. It's going to change how you view things. It's going to change how you learn. Some people are all three. Some people are just one. Some people don't even know. But you need to learn how you learn, so that way that helps you steers you towards what you're learning and who you're learning it from. If you know that you can't work with the person that's over in Bangladesh and they training at 7 o'clock in the morning, and that accent ain't for you, then it's just not for you. You just got to know these things. And a lot of people don't take the time to figure that out. They just go sign up for something and then they were like, what the hell? I don't even know what that is.
Listen, I got a friend who he has a whole rant about the lack of creativity when he talks with the Indian people. They're like, tell me step by step. And he's like, use your brain, think about it. And so it's just America versus this. So go ahead, Dr. What were you saying, Dr.
And one of the things I'm noticing in the chat, a lot of people, I'm going to be honest and say something that probably is going to offend people, but a lot of y'all are waiting for somebody else to do the work for you. I'm going to be honest and use myself. It cost me about $135,000 out of my pocket to go to school. I didn't care if it cost $1 million, and I had to sell everything in my possession to get my doctorate degree. And a lot of people say, I'm not paying $130,000 to go to school. I said, most people, I talk about a Hellcat charger, it's about $90,000. Hell, you add another used charger in there, you got the price of an education. a lot of people, I've asked them at various jobs, so why you only got a bachelor's degree and you've been out of school since 2001? So you've been out of school almost 20 years and all you have is a bachelor's degree. So how are you going to make it up?
You got to get some training. You got to get some kind of training, kind of certification.
And a lot of them will say, well, it was too expensive to go to school, but it wasn't too expensive to have 2 or 3 kids. So what's your analogy? You know, that I'm just very real with people and say, you got a Mercedes sitting in your driveway that could be your master's degree. And you'll talk to numerous people, they have numbers and numbers and numbers with excuses on them. Eric and I talked about this on the last show. You're going to come to a point now to where companies are going to say the internet is buzzing. Everything that you possibly want to do is online. You can get a degree online. Why are you at 26 years old don't have a certification, associate's degree, or bachelor's?
I think what's going to shock people, I don't mean to cut you off, is these are going to be some questions in interviews in 2021 and 2022. Oh, yeah, I was out of work for 9 months. Well, what happened? Well, you know, the COVID. Well, what were you doing in that time? What was going on? I just strongly believe there's going to be some employers that ask that question. Because if we were like, oh, I'm not going to stress myself with taking classes while I'm home with COVID. I'm worried about this COVID. I'm like, y'all, somebody going to ask questions in a year or two, like, hey, what were you doing with 9 months at home? What was you doing? So, Dr. Dix, I agree. Tameika, can you answer Ms. Wilder's question here? She's got certified, a basic cert. What would you suggest is her next step for cert?
She can either, again, the basics, Linux or some type of.
Listen, you don't have to repeat it 14 times. Go ahead and get used to that when you come on this channel.
Hey, Linux or some type of cloud cert. And the reason why I say some type of cloud cert is because that's just, if you're going to go work at a startup, that's where they're at. If you're going to go work at a company that's been around 40 or 50 years, they're probably going through a cloud transformation. So they have something that's in a data center, they want to migrate to a cloud. So you could probably get away with the skills that you have as far as like on-prem and then migrating. But right now, I would focus on those two, Linux and a cloud cert. If you're going down the cybersecurity route, go ahead and go down the cybersecurity route. But understand that don't stop at security plus. Understand that something like cloud security or penetration testing or securing databases, fingerprint encryption, cryptography, those things are still very relevant. Can't live without them. And go from there. I just talked about this. It's called Cortex AI. And Cortex AI comes out of the SPAC that's coming out for Matterport. And what they do is they have combined AI and blockchain. So, but what's important about that is when you're going through security at the airport, the scanner is doing 3D imaging of you and your belongings, and Cortex AI is behind that. So you just can walk through, but it's giving them a 3D visual of you as you walk through it. So now you think about, well, what technology is behind that and who's using it? Well, right now Deloitte is using it. Real estate is using it for 3D imaging. Agriculture is using it for 3D imaging as well too. So when you're looking at tech, don't look at tech from the perspective of that company is doing this. You need to look at it from, well, what is that company producing and who else can use it? So that's why you see all these EV batteries coming out, because they can be used in multiple things and in multiple locations. You gotta think of yourself like that.
I see a comment. Somebody said,
wait, don't read whatever's on the screen, because sometimes they get wild out here.
No, they were talking about the student loan debt, and in life you're gonna be in any kind of debt. I agree, you need to get your employer to pay for something, but you know, some of y'all got $10,000 and $12,000 on a credit card, not for education, but to try to look flashy. Now, we can go about all kinds of debt and I say, though, with that mindset of I'm going to try to get something for free in life, you're going to always find yourself stuck behind. And that's why your coworkers and your superiors are always ruling over you because you have a mindset of, I'm not going to do it unless somebody else does it for me. But you'll go down in May in South Carolina, probably going to have it this year. Y'all will come spend $7,500 to come to Bike Week in Myrtle Beach, but won't go spend $7,500 on a class if Tameika asks you, hey, you got $7,500? But you'll look back at it and say, well, I'm not spending $7,500 on no class that can get me $130,000. That kind of.
Tameika, what was the boot camp cost again?
What, the boot camp for coming to Women in Linux?
Well, yeah, like what's the average cost of a boot camp? We were talking about it.
Oh, yeah. So it depends on where you're at. Anywhere from 30 to 40,000. Some of them are 50.
And I'm telling y'all, I know a parent paid for their son to do a boot camp because he was like, I don't want to do no school, and they paid for him to be in a boot camp. I even brought on that one young lady. She went to a training in like Minnesota, middle of nowhere. It was like 30 days at this place, boot camp, basically.
And see, those, yeah, and somebody asked, am I a legit professor? I'm a legit professor.
His name is literally Dr. Dix. You can actually go see where he's taught 13,000 students.
And one of the people, what happens, I have gotten students in the past I'm going to be honest. It's sad. We have students, Eric and I have talked about this, that don't even know how to use Microsoft Office. Somebody older I can understand because they haven't had to be as fluent with computers. But you don't know how to use Microsoft Office. And we're in the year 2021. Or you don't want to pay for the access to it. People, come on.
Yep. And the other thing about the boot camps is this, and we get them all the time. People go to the boot camps and they learn, some front end stuff, and then they didn't realize there's a back end they could use or learn, and then they don't want to do the front end, but now they got to go learn back end, or they can't get a job, or they're stuck with this debt that they got to pay back, and they really can't get a job enough to make enough money to pay that debt back and live. So, when you're looking at these boot camps, you need to do an assessment on the success of it. What is it going to be for long term? Who do they have partnerships with? Is that something that you really want to do? Like you need to do an evaluation. Like you need to test drive the course like you test drive the car. Period.
Yeah.
There has to be some flexibility in the conversation we're having, you guys. And I know you guys aren't. You guys are thinking people. You're like, what can I do next? And to the point, Dr. Dix is right. Like all my friends that did engineering in college while we were in college, they've been making 80 to 130,000 ever since we left at 21. Mm-hmm. So at 32, their lives are different than everybody they know. They travel whenever they want. They hang out whenever they want. Like, it's not even a question because now they've grown themselves. Like the young lady I used to live with, she made 185,000 a year. Her family had got accustomed to her helping them. And she wasn't even sweating it because she's like, oh, well, I'll probably give my mom about $2,000 a month, to help with my brother who's disabled. And I did the math on it. I'm like, well, that's about $24,000 a year you're giving your mom. But when you're making 180 and she worked at Samsung and Samsung's giving her bonuses and benefits to go to Korea and train people for, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month at a time. We're just talking about different levels here. And I want y'all to understand, these aren't like $40,000 a year jobs. These are like $100,000 to $300,000 a year jobs we're talking about.
And I can give you a different perspective. I mean, I dropped out of school at 2022. Well, probably like 22, 23 and went back at 25. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get my degree 2 years later, probably 6 years later. However, I started learning Linux when I got to Hawaii in 2000, and I had a full-time job doing Linux administration prior to that, before I graduated. And my degree that I got in computer engineering has nothing to do with what I do with Linux administration. So it depends on where you're going.
Yeah.
On what you're trying to do. If you're trying to get on and work at NASA and you want to be an aerospace engineer, hell yeah, you're gonna need a degree. You know what I mean?
I was putting stuff in the background. I was just wanting people to understand, don't let it stop you from applying. So I just pulled up on Indeed just to see, what did I type in here? I literally just typed in cybersecurity, and it automatically entry level jobs. They're literally talking about 50K here, 120,000 here. And I'm gonna show you right here. This is a prime example of what Tameika is saying. So this person is gonna get paid $120,000 a year. Okay. They asked for, I kid you not, 1 year network security experience and 1 year information security. Yep. Preferred, but guess what? What would you tell them to do, Tameika, if they saw this?
Still apply. Apply. Like, you know how many people apply to jobs? I mean, I read resumes all the time. I interview people all the time, and I ask them. I said, I don't see any relevant skill sets here to what we're trying to do. They were like, yeah, I was just giving it a shot. People do it all the time. I'm not saying, hey, if you've been driving a bus for 5 years, you're gonna try to work at NASA as an aerospace engineer, apply. I'm not telling you that. What I'm simply saying is look at your skill sets and what you have and see how they apply. Just because you don't have, if they list 15 things and you got 10, apply. Women are notorious for not applying, but apply. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to say something. You don't know if you reached out to somebody. They may be like, those other skills were nice to have, but we really need them 10 skills that you got. You'll learn the other 5 when you get here.
Or they'll request you to go to school when you get there.
Right.
So anyway, I just want to show you, this is a real website. This is a real company hiring. They're out of Wyoming, quotation marks, but they're here in Austin. The job is here in Austin. So again, think about that. This company's in Wyoming, but they want you here in Austin. You can work remote. Literally, the job even says remote interview process, virtual meetings. 120. I mean, I just want y'all to understand, like, the level of like hustle and trying to create courses and online businesses and all stuff. And this says literally 1 year experience network administrator, 1 year experience information security, y'all. 120,000.
Yep. And
just want to get y'all to open your mindsets a little bit.
And cybersecurity, it spans everything, right? So cybersecurity and Linux, it goes across everything. So there's a company out there called Black Sky, and Black Sky is doing AI and machine learning in their satellites. But again, what I'm saying that is this: if you take the time now and think about what all these space missions, all these rockets, all of these different things are launching, who's going to secure the data, the transmission, the actual machine itself? So, that when you're looking at these things, you have to look at it with a big picture and then look across that and then go from there. Don't solely focus in on what your immediate needs are. Look at the big picture of the company and then look and say, okay, I can double dutch throughout that company and do what I need to do.
Prime example, Roger Marine said, I got promoted because I was able to get Microsoft certified.
There it is.
Erica, you legit changed my life. I'm in a tech class right now. Congratulations. Let us know how you get the job. We love putting on testimonials on the channel. Somebody said, should I add Linux and Python if I already know SQL and ETL and SSRS?
So if you want to go down the road of ETL and SQL, if you want to stay in that lane, I tell you go look at Databricks or go look at Snowflake. Why? Because they got a lot of contracts coming out. They need people, and they're looking for trainers as well too. Linux and Python, you can add that to your repertoire if you want to. It doesn't hurt. So now you're starting to get into how do I analyze data? How do I take this data? You can, if you want to, you can go into TensorFlow if you wanted to.
Roger Marine said, how can I get a top security clearance? How did you get your security clearance, Dr. Dix?
The Department of Defense sponsored me in 2012, and I reciprocated it and went to work for the Department of Energy. What happens? The intelligence agencies won't accept a DOD or DOE clearance, but it only took 90 days back in from August 2012 to do my SF-86, and the job let us go in June 2014, so my clearance was still active. And when I applied with the Department of Energy, I signed about 7 pieces of paper. It took them a week. They talked to the people in Washington, D.C., and they granted me a DOEQ, which is the same as a top secret clearance based off the background investigation. from 2012. I just did another background investigation back in 2017. And I work now for the Department of Energy. If anybody that's been in the Air Force or anything, I had to get into another program. It's pretty much close to being polygraphed. It's called the Human Reliability Program. They pulled my credit. I had to talk to a doctor, a psychologist. They pulled my financial records because of the access of the stuff you have information to. And it's at all the DOE sites. It's in the Air Force. So your background is essential. You just can't walk in and get sponsored. There has to be a need for it. And to really get a clearance, you got to have a pretty squeaky clean background. Yes, I smoked marijuana and I had to put it on there, but that was in 2008. I got the clearance in 2012. But you have to list all of that stuff. And a lot of people, because a lot of people get expungements off their records. A state investigation does not uncover that. But once you do a federal background check, everything you've done in your life, you need to tell it. I'm just being dead honest with you. Because the better the bigger the clearance, the more money you can get. And usually we're talking about contractors. Oh, to add to the contractor stuff, you can get if there's 500 people applying for a job that had no clearance and there's 5 of y'all got a clearance, they're gonna look at the first 5 people that got the clearance first, because a company is not willing to spend $40,000 to $50,000 to sponsor somebody for that kind of clearance.
Okay.
And I'm gonna add to that security clearance. So in terms of the security clearance questions, you do have to be sponsored. So you have to look for people who are looking to sponsor your clearance. A lot of people are not sponsoring because of the time and the length and it takes to get a clearance. I've had my clearance forever. So there's different levels of clearances. There's secret, there's top secret, there is top secret SCI, there is top secret with a polygraph, and then there's Yankee White, and then there's some other ones that people don't even discuss. So when you're looking at a security clearance, you do need to have good credit, but you can explain some of that away. You do need don't smoke, because they are going to do a drug test. Once you're in, you can rotate to different departments when you're doing DOD. And if you need to go to, like Dr. Dick said, if you need to go to DOE or something like that, they're sponsor that one. And the other one that I forgot is called the public trust. Mm-hmm. So the public trust is probably the easiest one to get. It's just really like signing your name on a piece of paper, and they do a credit check, and that's pretty much it. It's not a detailed background.
You said it's called public trust?
Public trust.
Okay.
I have a suggestion. If you think your background is bad, I know when I was waiting on for them to decide on mine, I found a DOE site, DOE Mill security clearance decisions from 1996 till now. You can see how messed up people's backgrounds are. And it made me feel better. I'm up here nervous about weed. I'm nervous about weed, and I had 3 things on my credit. I said, you got people that got bankruptcies for 2 or 3 years, or they foreign nationals. I said, it's a whole different world, but most people,
as long as you can explain it, and it depends on your investigator, right? So if you can explain, why you're behind on something, or the other thing is where you're traveling to, watch your foreign investments, what are you investing to? Right. You can't have investments in weed, just things that you need to explain, just things you need to be aware of. But that is the level of when you're talking about security clearances, that's what it is.
Okay, so I wanted to point out this other job I just saw, systems engineer, right? So people see that, oh, I'm not an engineer. Wait, let me tell you, email security is the job, $75,000 to $120,000. So a lot of people would already be scared away by it saying systems engineer. Now let's go down here and see what it says. Experience, Mailflow, 1 year, email security, 1 year. Barracuda, Mimecast, Proofpoint, or Ironport. Any of these as an option, 1 year required. So Tameika, are those easy or hard to get? Those 3 I just listed.
So email security with Barracuda. What I do is, this is just a tip. Go to the listings of those websites in terms of like Barracuda, see if they got a free trial, learn it. Mm-hmm. And then because a lot of people offer free trials, and a lot of people are not looking for you to know everything. They just want to know, do you know more than me?
Right. Can you do the job so I ain't got to do it?
Yeah, right. So that would be my suggestion of that. And when we're talking about email security, that's just being cognizant of like not passing your social security number through an email. Don't click on the link if somebody sent you the link and you've never heard them before. If it's, if he's from the land of Zamunda and he sent you an email, don't click on the link.
This thing says this job is ideal for someone who are people oriented, enjoys interacting with people and working on group projects. Now, y'all already know a lot of tech people are antisocial. Just some, not all. Just some have issues with working in groups. So if you're a group person, here you go. I just want to bring up real life opportunities and show y'all what they're saying. So incident response team analyst for Facebook, right? Let me see the requirements right here. Some stuff says bachelor degree, but I always ignore that and I go, what do I have to have?
Yep, because right? You got to remember too, because some people look at your 5 years of experience as your bachelor's degree. So you have to remember that you're if you're in tech and you've had 5 years, some people look at that as your bachelor's degree.
So this is 95 to 135 per hour. Right here, this says applicant. Let me go down here. Hold on. Hey.
Most of the time, those security managers are doing what they say they're managing. They're not really as technical on some of those, and that's company dependent. So that's getting into, hey, we have a facility or we're a company. We need to know how we need to stay compliant. What are the new GDPR rules? What are the rules for us if we're SOX? How do we stay compliant with our data? Do we need to segregate our data? Do we need data encryption or data at rest? There's a lot of things centered around that. And what rules do we need to follow and how do we apply those rules? You as the security engineer would take on that and say, I'm going to apply those rules.
Okay, so this one says 1 year minimum development solution from a program called Identity and Access. From Oracle. Is that hard to get, or do I go to the Oracle website?
You can go straight to Oracle website, and I think Oracle released all their training for free.
Okay.
So you can go direct to Oracle website. I think they had, I don't know if it's still free. I know it was free back for all of last year. It may still be free. All their training was free.
This is AT&T. They said bachelor degree in information systems or cybersecurity or equivalent experience. Apply anyway, y'all. I just want to show y'all just so y'all can take some of that. Like, oh my God, I can't. Department of Veterans, 93,000, 122,000. My friend jokes, he's like, you make the real money when you leave the Army and you go, you get into some role outside of it. But let me see. It says here, where's that thing say? Oh gosh.
Keep going down.
Oh, my bad, sorry. Trying to read it. It says something about requirements. Here it is. U.S. citizen, selective service. Okay, it helps you. Literally, y'all, the qualifications say, what do they say? There you go. Experience may be IT related, paid or unpaid, or IT certification. Y'all, they're not even asking for you to have no degree. Yep. They literally saying detailed customer service.
Yeah, that's basically sysadmin. So I'll give you a little bit about the U.S. Veteran Affairs. They are based in terms of Azure. That is the cloud that they're using. They're heavy on a cloud transformation. They are looking for someone that do ETL, data lakes. That's super huge. But Linux is Linux and Azure or Linux and Windows and Office 365 is their platform, hands down. So if you want to get in at Veteran Affairs, go learn Azure quick, and that's free.
I love it. So again, y'all, I'm just trying to show y'all different stuff so y'all won't be like, oh, I can't apply. Also, somebody dropped 50. Thank you. I appreciate you. Mr. Leisure said, women in Linux, newbie here. What companies can I contact for free training? I just joined your Slack.
If you're in our Slack group, and you can go into the channel called training, that is that in that training channel, there is nothing but resources on free training. I post them every day, free events as well too. So it depends on what kind of training you're looking for.
Someone said I've been a contractor for 4 years. Some of y'all comments were like, man, they're not gonna give you no benefits. Y'all, somebody paying you $160K for the year. Go find you some $200 a month insurance. Keep it moving. Geek Moment said HPC computing, Linux, and DevOps
is the way to go.
Sound good?
Yep.
Again, people love when I bring y'all on. Let's see. Somebody spitting bars.
So to add to that, what you were talking about with people having the insurance, the other thing is to set yourself up, get your EIN number, or go get an LLC, right? You can use your social security number if you want to, or better yet, get an LLC. Once you get your LLC, set up yourself in a self-directed IRA. Pay yourself 20% first, take the rest of that, get your insurance. Now take the other part of that money and start to invest in it. You can now use part of your house as a tax write-off. You can now use your internet as a tax write-off. You can now use your car as a tax write-off. Now you have some coverage for yourself.
Okay, love it. Y'all, there are so many comments. I'm not going to keep them here all night. Plus, I have training in the Rise of 20% class. Let's see. Man, y'all, everybody's saying they love y'all got conversations. Well, somebody said there's 10K master degrees at some of the top universities, University of Texas, Georgia Tech. This is true because I've been looking for a master's degree for a whole nother reason, y'all. In the future, I want to teach a class. Computer science, cybersecurity, and data analytics.
Yeah, the one from Georgia Tech is super huge when it comes down to
people like
it. Data analytics. It's very popular in terms of that. And then computer science. The thing with me with cybersecurity, I'm on the fence when they say they're getting a PhD in cybersecurity, unless you plan to do research. Getting your master's in cybersecurity and understanding information assurance, you could probably get an equivalent of that with a SANS.org or DIAC cybersecurity. So it depends on what you want to do with it. It depends on where you see your life going.
Yeah, I can speak from doing the research. In my program, a lot of people did security stuff. Y'all have to remember, you're investing a lot of time to do a doctorate degree. Remember, it takes effort, it takes time and money. Do not do something that complex and say, well, I just want to sound smart when I talk about it. I said, it's a lot of research. No, a lot of people get these things. And I said this on the last show. We have too many African Americans that get doctorate degrees in bullshit. There is nobody. The school I teach for, they are looking for people with doctorate degrees in STEM. There is like maybe 4 or 5 people I can call with a doctorate degree in STEM to teach computer science courses. Everybody is getting the same doctorate degree and writing the dissertation on the same stuff that has been proven for numbers and numbers of years. I'm just being very honest. If you go out there and type in Indeed, put in doctorate degree, there are some fields that are in demand, but if you're going to do something, I said do STEM. And as Tameika was saying, pick a field. You might want to do a PhD in computer science. You might want to do a PhD in biomedical engineering. You might want to be a pharmacist. I'm telling you from experience, people killed themselves writing dissertations. They told us when we started, many people commit suicide writing this thing. And it's because people choose topics or areas to say, well, I'm going to be a subject matter expert, and they kill themselves because a lot of people become ABDs for 5 or 6 years. If y'all don't know what that is, that's everything, all but dissertation. They finish the classes, but they haven't completely written a dissertation. So data analytics,
Sorry, no, I mean, again, there's a high level of stress with some of this stuff.
Data analytics is a good program. Data analytics is taking it's getting big because there's going to be terabytes and petabytes of data. People don't know what to do with it. And you can work that from home. You can get it. Somebody earlier asked about our master's certificate. I recommend it. You're going to be able to do data analytics from your home. There's so much data now, they don't even know what to do with it. And companies, they're like, what to do with the data? They said, we need people to tell us what to do with it.
Landlord 84, I just read your statement. I'm receiving a large settlement sir, whenever, and I'm gonna say this is not to be negative. We have a negative factor. When my grandmother and my father died 6 months of each other, I received a inheritance. The best thing you can do, I don't know why you got the settlement, it's not my business, is to take a deep breath and realize this won't be the last money you'll ever encounter in your life. And I'm being 100% like just take a deep breath. You don't have to spend it as soon as you get it. Like you could just sit for a second. Like just it can sit in an account for 30, 40, 50 days. Like it's not an emergency for you to spend it right now. Right? If you invest it wrongly, then you're gonna be beating yourself up for years. So take a deep breath, relax, book a consult with me, Dr. Dick, other people, you know. So again, it says I'm a loan solution specialist with a mortgage company that just told us March 31st they don't need us anymore. Erica, Love Rika, or it says Love Rika, get in here, get in Women in Linux. What is it on Tuesdays? Your free training? What is it?
Wednesday. Every Wednesday from 7 to 9.
Every Wednesday. Y'all got to invest in yourselves. This won't be the end. This won't be there will be so many more stories like this where companies just come in and, hey, you guys. So T-Sock said, anybody interested in a study group? Tameika has a study group. Go over to her study group. There was one I thought that was really good. Oh, goodness. This guy said, apply for everything. Anthony Black said, I applied for 14, got 8 interviews and 4 offers.
Yeah, I used to make a habit of applying for jobs. I had 3 resumes, and I had the jobs that I pulled out. And it, people were like, well, it's a crapshoot. Well, it's whatever. But I would make it a point to apply for 100 jobs in a week. And that's what I did. And I would keep note of who I applied to, and then I will also keep note of who contacted me and who didn't contact me. And I ended up getting a lot of job offers, but it was just that's just something I did. I ain't telling you to do it. I'm just saying it's something I did.
Somebody said they're in healthcare looking for a change. This is very important. Listen, y'all. Pay attention to what they're saying. Again, go with Tameika has a training on Wednesdays. Go on over there. SNS Consulting does resumes on this channel. We talk about it all the time. Dr. Dix does consulting. A lot of times people be like, well, Erica, what should I do? Don't book no consult asking about tech, because that's why I bring on the experts, so you can go talk with them.
Yep. So a good one would be if you're looking at healthcare, you can work at a telehealth company, right? So you can. I just talked about this on Saturday. There is a company out there called Ambulance. Basically, it's Uber for the ambulances. Basically, what they're doing now is, instead of dispatching the ambulance from the hospital or something like that, they now have another service that now can come to you. Those people are certified. Again, you're just thinking about just the ambulance. You don't think they're going to start getting into treatments online, having people that have gotten their specialists or worked in the field to actually look at, hey, give me some information about X, Y, and Z. That's going to happen.
So someone said, I'm 42. Do I have a chance in this field? Y'all.
Yes.
Y'all understand that you may live to be 90 years old. We can't just give up because we're hit a number. This person said that they have a felony for weed. Roger Marine, I'm going to let them answer, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's called expungement. Just start making payments to the attorney. And 2, I know there's a company that'll hire you. We're going to have to figure it out.
I just want to know why you got 18 certifications in. And what do you
That's that part. Where we get these certifications from. Again, thank you for the $50 super chat. Keep it techie. Thank you for supporting the channel. I'm gonna start wrapping it up here, you guys. What else, you guys? This last one. Somebody said, "What flavor of Linux do you teach?" I didn't know it was a flavor.
Yeah, it's a flavor of Linux. I teach Red Hat. If you're trying to do something in the cloud and understand distributed computing, that falls under Kubernetes, and I can teach that as well too.
Where can I go to learn how to optimize my resume? I'm gonna say hop in Women in Linux. Go reach out to Tameika.
Yep. We got one-on-one training if you need it. In terms of like sitting down and going through your resume. I just did some career stuff today. I have another one coming up. So, yep.
All right. This one, Ernest George said, "Thank you, Tameika, Erica, and Dr. Dix. I just found a free training from Oracle, OCI."
Yep,
free.
There it is.
Oracle has a number of free trainings. Listen, y'all, if you love this channel, you love what we do, I'm gonna put it in the community tab. Go send me a testimonial so people can go learn and see about this channel so I can share it with others. Because we literally every week get somebody saying, "Hey, I got a job. Hey, I got this. I did what you said in the video." And I just want to show people that it's out here. It's opportunities. Okay. Yep. So let me see what else. I think that might be it. I know y'all hear the music in the background. Hey.
Nothing wrong with it.
Yes, I will say get your LLC in your state. Your EIN number, what she's talking about, because you never know. They might want to pay you 1099, and I see a lot of 1099 in the future. I'm telling y'all, it's going to be a lot more 1099, and people just ain't even ready for that. Because I was literally offering somebody a position, and I was like, "Well, hey, you're just going to get a flat $6K every month." And he looked at me like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, we're gonna pay you at the beginning of the month like they do the teachers, $6K." And he was just like, it just blew his mind. And my accountants are like, "No, just pay him every 2 weeks. You know, everybody can't understand that." And I'm like, that kind of future is moving away, y'all. Like literally in certain states, they pay those teachers once a month, and they got to figure it out. like if you're not good on budgeting your money or figuring out how to live, this is the time to figure it out, baby. This is the time. So, yep. That's basically what I have for y'all. Thank y'all for coming in and learning. We've been on here an hour and 11 minutes, but definitely reach out to both of these individuals. Super helpful, super knowledgeable. There's lots of things coming.
You want me to put my stuff in the chat, or how do you want me to put my calendar in?
Yes, I want you to also email me again so I can put it in the description, and also once the video renders, you guys can put comments under the video. Tameika, please tell them where they can reach y'all out at Women in Linux. Just go ahead and
Women in Linux, everything except for TikTok.
Find her everywhere.
Yeah, Women in Linux, everything. womeninlinux.org. We are a nonprofit. We do accept donations. Appreciate you. If you're looking for me on LinkedIn, I am Tameika Reed. If you're looking for Women in Linux on LinkedIn, it is at Women in Linux. We do answer. It is a live person. And Erica, we will talk after this one.
We sure will. Dr. Dix, please go ahead and tell everybody where they can find you.
They can find me I try to put my link, but I think you got to set up. Won't let you put your link in. You can catch me at calendly.com/Dr. Dix. And we're going to put it in the description box. I try to put it in the chat, but she has it set up because I know you have whatever they call the folks, trolls that'll come put all links and stuff there.
So anyways, you guys, this is your girl Erica from the Classy Climb blog. This is just a Tech Tuesday. We're just talking about the opportunities that are out there in tech. I want you guys to keep your eyes open, keep your ears open. Please go join Women in Linux. Go join their Slack. Go join their training groups. We all rise when we rise together. And this a lot of this new career stuff is not scary. Many of y'all been watching me for 4, 5, 6 years, and y'all haven't started no businesses yet. So why don't you take a step into the future, into tech? It's something I think is very happy to share with you guys. So this is your girl Erica, Classy Climb Blogs. Later.